Live from the campus of the Peddie School in Hightstown, New Jersey, it is high school football on the Strive Network as we welcome you in to this contest between the Peddie School Falcons. They host the Wyoming Seminary Blue Knights. Hello, everyone. Simon Rose here with you. Our crew here from Hightstown, Derek Simmons and Molly Rich. We're glad that you could join us for this contest between Peddie and Wyoming Seminary. Peddie coming into this game, they are 1-1 on the year. Beat Seton Hall Prep right here on the Strive Network in their first contest. And they are coming off a loss to St. Peter's Prep, one of the top teams in the entire state of New Jersey, 43-26. So Peddie looking to get back to their winning ways as they play Wyoming Seminary here today. Wyoming Seminary, we just saw them last week as well. They played Blair and lost 18-6 in that game. Didn't have an offensive touchdown. It was one of those nitty-gritty, grind-it-out kinds of games with Blair Academy and just tough sledding for Wyoming Seminary. So they're looking to bounce back. Let's take a look at our Strive Spotlight segment. And we'll spotlight the star receiver for this Peddie School Falcon team, and that's Jahan Dotson, who has filled up the stat book in the first couple games. Already 11 catches for 312 yards on the young season, so 156 yards per game, and he's averaging 28 yards per catch. He's a four-star recruit, and a lot of potential suitors for Jahan Dotson, a guy that we'll surely keep our eye on throughout this game, and you'll hear his name plenty as he goes back to return the opening kickoff. We'll see the Peddie School first on offense, so once they kick this away, we'll go through the starters, the defensive starters for Wyoming Seminary, and the offensive starters for the Peddie School. So Peddie will be moving right to left on your screen. And we are underway. It's a short pooch kick that will fall at the 35-yard line, and it is received there by Zach Barnard, who is the tight end on offense for the Peddie School. And out comes Peddie out onto the field. Their big offensive line. They've got playmakers. This is a very complete offense, a very fun team to watch play with the speed at which they play. Let's take a quick look at their starting offense. That's their starting defense. Sorry, here's the starting offense. Dahan, Lovell, Dawkins, Wardle, and Testa. Dotson, Tucker, Blue, and Barnard are the receivers. Keyshawn Farmer, the running back, and Alan Walters, the phenomenal quarterback behind center. They've got a wide-open playbook with Walters in the gun. And starting off, it is a quick bubble screen over to Jaden Blue. That is the 8th catch of the year for Blue, the junior from Randallstown, Maryland. And he gains about 5 yards on first down. 2nd and 5 coming up as Peddie starts with good field position here. Alan Walters comes to the sideline to receive the call from his coach. Walters and Chris Maleo, the head coach of the Peddie School, have a relationship that dates back quite a while, back to when he was in middle school, Alan Walters. Maleo has done a lot of coaching of quarterbacks. As this is Keyshawn Farmer down the left sideline. Keyshawn Farmer is out of bounds at the 10-yard line. The phenomenal running back puts Peddie in business here with just under 11 minutes to go in the first quarter. And Peddie already looking like the dominant offensive force that they can be. Keyshawn Farmer, just one of the many weapons that this team has. As we get another look here on the replay, you get the ball in his hands, and he will make something happen. You've got a phenomenal quarterback in Alan Walters, one of the best in the state of New Jersey, but he's got some weapons to make you hurt even a little bit more. Walters has Farmer to his right here for receivers and escapes pressure and tries to dump it off to Farmer after the second Wyoming Seminary player got in there. That was number 58, Mansur Abdul Malik on the pressure. So that makes it 2nd and 10 for the Peddie School. We've seen them go no huddle at points during the season, but very patient to start out are the Falcons here as, again, Walters goes over to the sideline to talk to Coach Maleo. We will take a dip into the coach's corner at some point throughout the broadcast. Same formation, 4 receivers, Farmer to Walters' right. Barnard's in motion. And on the delay, it's Keyshawn Farmer weaving his way through the middle. He's inside the 5, going to try to push that pile into the end zone. And the whistle blows as Farmer will be down at the 5-yard line.
That is a first down run by number 2, Keyshawn Farmer, to the 5-yard line of Wyoming Seminary.
It does move the chain, so a 1st and goal with Peddie knocking on the door. Just a minute and a half into this first quarter. So now the question becomes, which weapon do you use down here? You've got some very good skilled position players, but number 6, Zach Barnard, might be somebody that you keep your eye on as a red zone target. That big body is the tight end, and they are going to give to Farmer. This time he's bottled up after a gain of 1 yard. Jared Piotnik on the tackle for Wyoming Seminary. He plays the linebacker position for YSEM. Let's actually take a look quickly at that YSEM defense. Here it is. Abdul Malik, Campbell, Chung along the defensive line. Nape, Piotnik, and Konate are the linebackers. Emmanuel Beals and Deshaun Jupiter-Dean, 2 very athletic cornerbacks. Otis Thrasher, Daya, and Brieg are in the secondary for head coach Kevin Kelly. 2nd and 4, it is Farmer. This time he is in for a touchdown. Peddie School strikes first here in Hightstown. A 4-yard run for Keyshawn Farmer, and it is 6-0 Peddie School. We get another look here on the replay. Darren Sproles' light cutback move by Keyshawn Farmer. Every time I watch him play, it does remind me of the running back for the Philadelphia Eagles, just with the body size. They're both 5'6", about the same weight. Keyshawn Farmer, 160. And they play very similar ways with those quick cutback moves. In fact, let's take a look back at last week. This was Keyshawn Farmer against St. Peter's Prep, and this video is courtesy of Mayday Productions. And we take a look at this phenomenal 45-yard touchdown run by Keyshawn Farmer as he comes to the sideline here, goes backwards, and then season opening, he's gone. You give him an inch, he will take a mile, as he did on that play. And the phenomenal running back got into the end zone there, and he just recently got into the end zone here in this game against Wyoming Seminary. There he is, number 2. So 7-0 the score. As the Peddie School will kick off, we'll get a chance to see their defense, and Wyoming Seminary's offense will come out onto the field. They do have some playmakers, does this YSEM offense. Mentioned Abdoulaye Konate as a guy to watch for Wyoming Seminary. He plays linebacker for them, and they've added him this year. He did play for Brooklyn Poly Prep last season, and he'll be a focal point of the YSEM offense that we'll see momentarily. It's Zach Barnard to kick away from the 40-yard line. Line drive kick. Received by Deshaun Jupiter-Dean at the 10. He's going straight up the gut, and a decent return for Jupiter-Dean across the 30. And there's where YSEM's offense will come out. And let's take a look at that YSEM offense. It's Christeller, Chung, Ortali, Olson, and Knob across the offensive line. Brieg is the tight end, and they play a lot of flex positions with this team. Thrasher, Jupiter, Dean, Nape, all guys that will catch passes. Konate, fullback, and Jared Piotnik, phenomenal quarterback, very talented, is number 20 behind center. For head coach Kevin Kelly, who's in his first season with Wyoming Seminary. So just under 3 minutes into this game, Piotnik will look to throw on first down, and he does complete. Otis Thrasher makes the catch, and he gains about 4 yards. Thrasher had a rough go of it against Blair Academy last week. Those Buccaneers were very pesky defensively. Blair might be a little bit down this year, but you're never going to have an easy game against the Buccaneers. And last week, YSEM really struggled offensively to get anything consistent going against Blair. We'll see if they have more success this week, as Piotnik is in the gun with 4 receivers. Again, he's looking to the left side. This one popped up into the air, and it's intercepted by Peddie. So the Falcons will take over as number 22 for the Peddie School. Number 22, unfortunately, on the roster, he's not listed here. So a last-second switcheroo on the roster, or the jersey assignments there for the Peddie School. So not entirely sure who did take that one for the interception, but it is a turnover nonetheless, and Peddie will take over at the 39-yard line. And this high-flying Falcons offense is back out onto the field with Walters behind center. Walters for Farmer, puts it right in his path, and Farmer's got another first down inside the 25. Keyshawn Farmer, who obviously is a dual-purpose back, another reason why he reminds me of Darren Sproles at the NFL level, as a guy that can catch passes as well. And we have seen Farmer do that. When you've got a quarterback who can make that short throw accurately, as you just saw Walters do, it makes Farmer that much more dangerous. And it is a 1st and 10 for the Falcons. Farmer on the draw, coming back to the other side of the field and hitting the hole across the 15-yard line. He's tackled by Emmanuel Beals, the cornerback. So another decent chunk of yards on first down. That's the one thing about Farmer. You have him bottled up on one side of the field. He can just as easily switch directions and take the space on the other side of the green. So 2nd and short. And we'll see what head coach Chris Maleo wants to call here on a open playbook type of situation. It's Dotson in motion, and he'll take it on the end around. Dotson receiving a block from Blue, but well done by Wyoming Seminary to bottle up the phenomenal receiver for the Peddie School. But Dotson will have enough for a first down. He only needed about a 1.5 feet, and he certainly got it. So 1st and 10 from the 14-yard line for Peddie. As Walters will come back after receiving another message from the sideline and relay it to his teammates. Walters went to Paramus Catholic last year, who just played St. Peter's Prep, the team that Peddie played last week. Yeah, here's Walters again. And good catch by Blue. You can see him kind of leaning the other way towards the middle of the field, but he still was able to stick his hands out and make that catch. Falling out of bounds, it's a modest gain on first down. 3 yards, 2nd and 7, as the Peddie School will once again try to punch this one in, already with a 7-0 lead halfway through the first quarter. Yeah, Walters was the quarterback last year at Paramus Catholic. Obviously, a lot of scrutiny on that football program and a lot of expectations for a young kid, and Walters receiving great experience playing there. As he's got a touchdown, Jaden Blue. Already the third catch for Jaden Blue, and he's in the end zone. A 10-yard pass and catch from Walters to Blue, as we'll get another look. So lining up for the extra point here is Zach Barnard. And Barnard's kick is blocked. And no good. So 13 to nothing is the score with 6:07 to go in the first quarter. You're watching live high school football here on the Strive Network. We'll come back and we'll take a step into the coach's corner and introduce you to Chris Maleo once again, the second-year head man for this Peddie Falcons program, who has done a phenomenal job thus far. He got his bachelor's from Northwestern University, where he played both quarterback and linebacker for the Wildcats. Also the assistant director of admission here at the Peddie School. He was the defensive coordinator here in the Maple for the Lawrenceville School from 2012 to 2015, and he attended the Hun School, where he was the offensive coordinator at one point as well. So Maple background for Chris Maleo, and certainly a guy that they are very happy to have at the head of this football program. And certainly not many better guys to be coaching a guy like Alan Walters at the quarterback position. Here's Deshaun Jupiter-Dean. This time he is shy of the 20-yard line. And we see Peddie's defense once again. Let's look at Peddie's defense, their starters. As across the line, we see Hijazi, Rayam, and Dawkins, the nose guard, with Wardle on the other defensive end. The linebackers, Garrett, Tedeschi, Barnard, and Conyer. And in the defensive backfield, Jaden Blue, Jahan Dotson, the cornerbacks, and the free safety, Tessima Haskins. 1st and 10 for YSEM. And it's another interception, and it's Jaden Blue who has it, and he's in the end zone for a pick six. There is a flag on the field back at the 28-yard line, right where Blue caught it. But I have a feeling that this might be on the attempted tackle of Jaden Blue, as it looked like the player for YSEM tried to bring him down with maybe a horse collar or a face mask. We'll have to see from the referee. And it looks like the touchdown is going to stand. And it is a face mask against Wyoming Seminary. So Peddie is on the board 19-0 as Jaden Blue, who just caught a touchdown a moment ago, scores another one. So he's scored 12 points by himself in the last, 20 seconds. The second consecutive possession that as Barnard's kick is good. Second consecutive possession for Wyoming Seminary that ends with an interception by the Peddie School. And they are on top 20-0 with 5:46 to go in the first quarter. So the Peddie School on top 20-0 after a 28-yard interception return for a touchdown by Jaden Blue. Zach Barnard's kick was good, so he is 2 of 3 for the points after touchdowns. And Peddie will once again kick away to Deshaun Jupiter Dean. Dean hit by number 8 for the Peddie School. That's Javar Garrett. Jupiter Dean, a guy that YSEM's going to try to get involved offensively, one of their better skill position players. Small, quick body, and we saw him make a really nice defensive play from the cornerback position last week where he took at the distance an interception just like Jaden Blue just did. It was about 70 yards that Jupiter Dean took it to the house. He's lined up as a slot receiver here. And Piotnik does go to his way and put it right on the numbers, and Jupiter Dean drops it. Jupiter Dean may have had a step if he caught that ball, as the cornerback looked like he over-pursued, and there was no safety to be seen, so it could have been a big gain. Instead, it's 2nd and 10 with 5:30 to go in the first quarter. Wyoming Seminary, coached by Kevin Kelly in his first year. Spent a lot of time at the collegiate level, in the Division I collegiate level, as they'll go the far side of the field looking for Jupiter Dean, but it's way over his head. And it'll be a 3rd and 10, and once again, Wyoming Seminary sputtering offensively with a long 3rd down conversion attempt to go. They do have some decently big bodies along the offensive line. Peddie is just ginormous on both lines, the offense and defense. The offensive line for Peddie, even though they're on defense, we'll talk about the lines because there's a lot of the same characters, but the offensive line for Peddie has 5 guys that average over 300 pounds. So you're talking about some big boys, especially for the high school level. As it's 3rd and 10, Piotnik in the gun, looking to the near side of the field over Jupiter Dean's head. He did get a touch on it, and it went through a Peddie defender as well. YSEM will be forced to punt after not gaining a yard on the first 3 plays. On the bright side, it didn't end in an interception like the previous 2 series did, but here is YSEM to punt with number 4, Duncan Brieg. 6'2", 200-pound senior will boot it away, and it's Dotson waiting to return at the 50. He's not going to get a chance to do so. Out of bounds at the 46-yard line. So out comes Peddie again offensively. Most recent polls on NJ.com. Take a look at those real quick. The prep rankings. There's Peddie at number 2. The Hun School at number 1. We are really looking forward to seeing Peddie play Hun and Peddie playing Blair for that matter. Both of those games will be broadcast live on the Strive Network. Peddie Hun coming up on the 29th of October right here on Maurice P. Schumann Field. While that Blair game will be played at Blair Academy in Blairstown, New Jersey. Peddie at number 2 in the most recent rankings, even though they're 1-1, dropping to St. Peter's Prep, who was number 4 in the NJ.com top 20. Here's Farmer with a cutback in the backfield and another one, and he's got another first down.
That is a first down run by number 2, Keyshawn
For the Peddie School. And Farmer, when you look at the college recruit aspect of this Peddie team, it's crazy to think that Farmer is the one who's getting the least amount of looks of all the big-time impact players for the Peddie School from big-time D1 programs. Farmer certainly has a future at the next level, and I believe he's looking at the number of Ivy League schools. As Walters fires a dart to the near side, here's Dotson, who's got a bright future as well, and Jahan Dotson's across the 30. We're talking about the likes of Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan State, Clemson, Michigan, Rutgers. He is the number 7 wide receiver in the nation. Jahan Dotson, number 5 in the class of 2018. A 4-star recruit. And he's got as there was a flag on the play, so this one's actually coming back. So wipe it away. Or not. See the Peddie School kind of following the white hat. By the way, your referees today, Mickey Corpora is the referee, the umpire Bob Varju, the linesman Jim Deemer, the line judge Justin Johnson, the back judge Pete Catanese, the side judge Dave Claudio, and running the clock is Joe Shaw. So anyway, it does look like they did give that first down to Peddie. Whether that play to Dotson is in the stat book or not, I guess is irrelevant. They do have the ball at the 28-yard line with a 1st and 10. And it's Farmer. Another shake and bake up the middle. And Keyshawn Farmer is inside the 15-yard line.
Another first down run for number 2, Keyshawn Farmer.
So Farmer continues to rack up the numbers. Coming into the game, he had 38 carries for 218 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he's now got 5 touchdowns on the season. His yard per carry was at 5.7, and I believe that's got to be over 6 after this point. Play action, and it's Dotson who beats his man for a touchdown. 26-0 in the first quarter.
With the grab, it will be 26-0 Peddie.
So Jahan Dotson with one of the easier touchdowns that he will score. As you get one more look here, he beat his man, Emmanuel Beals. A tough job for Emmanuel Beals to go up against number 5. But it is 26-0, so 3 different Peddie players have gotten into the end zone. As Barnard, oh man, that one was a ground skimmer, and it is no good. 26-0. Barnard now 2 for 4 on his extra point tries. So 3:18 to go in the first. Peddie up big here in Hightstown. Another at the 10-yard line. And Jupiter Dean tripped up at the 25 by number 10, Adam Conyer. So there has been very little success for Wyoming Seminary here. Let's see if they can get something going offensively. Remember, a new head coach for this YSAM team, a new shift in the program. And we'll talk about the experience that Kevin Kelly has coaching football a little bit later on. But Peddie School has a lot of experience tackling guys for losses as they do there. Number 5, Jahan Dotson was there first.
Run for a loss will be second down and 13 at the Wyoming Seminary 23-yard line.
Check that. I think it was Barnard who was in there on the tackle. But anyway, it was Konate who was running for Wyoming Seminary. Big pickup for YSEM. And Abdule Konate from Brooklyn, New York. Approaching 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. It is 2nd and 13. Far side of the field, complete to Otis Thrasher, and Thrasher has a first down for Wyoming Seminary. Their first of the afternoon. Tessa Mahaskins, the safety, comes up and makes the stop at the 40. Tough schedule for YSEM. We mentioned it last week when we saw them against Blair that, man, it is just not fair for them to have to play at Blairstown and at Heightstown in back-to-back weekends. As Piotnik, quick hitter to Deshaun Jupiter-Dean, and he makes the catch. Tackled by number 22 and Terrell Prince. Oh, by the way, Terrell Prince, that number 22, he was the one who received that first interception. We had an outdated roster up here in the press box. And Terrell Prince was credited with that interception, the first one off of the hands of the quarterback, Jared Piotnik. Piotnik, a post-grad, number 20, 6'3", 210 from Bethel, Connecticut. 2nd and short, and it's Jupiter-Dean who makes a nice catch on the screen, and he turns what would have been a 2-yard loss as he was hit behind the line of scrimmage into a minimal gain. It'll be 3rd and short, about a yard to gain here for YSEM. 25 seconds to go and counting in the first quarter, one that has been dominated by the home team. And they're going to let this clock run out. So at the end of one, it is 26-0. Peddie School leads Wyoming Seminary. You're watching live high school football right here on the Strive Network. And we'll be back for the start of the second. So the two teams switch sides of the field, and they come out moving right to left do the Wyoming Seminary Blue Knights. They've got a 3rd and short, about a yard and a half. Another quick hitter, Jupiter-Dean, makes the catch, and he goes down to the ground. A lot of short, quick passes here for Jared Piotnik. Jupiter Dean from Pickering, Ontario. 5'9", 165-pound junior. He is the leading receiver for this Blue Knights squad. So for the first time, Wysem is in Peddie territory. It's Konate to the right of Piotnik. Again, looking for a quick pass, and Piotnik may have just thrown that one away, as barreling down on him was Zach Barnard and number 78, TJ Rayum.
Ball is thrown away. It'll be second down and 10 at the Peddie 49-yard line.
We've got a injury timeout here, as number 3 for Wyoming Seminary and Emmanuel Beals is slow to get up. So that's going to give us a moment to highlight the coach for this YSM team, and Kevin Kelly. And he's got a really, really impressive resume, worth us bringing up here once again, as we did last week. He was the defensive coordinator at Ball State last season, and he served as the head coach at Georgetown University for 8 years, from 2006 to 2013. He was the head man at Georgetown. And for decades before that, he was also serving in several assistant roles. You see Navy, Marshall, Syracuse, Dartmouth, Tulane, a lot of respectable football programs where he was coaching, Kevin Kelly. And he is now the head man at Wyoming Seminary. I talked to him last week about making that adjustment, and he certainly said it's a challenge that he's had to have. You know, different kinds of football. It doesn't matter if you're going from the NFL down to Pee Wee football. There's going to be an adjustment, and he's had to make that adjustment. But he's very excited for the challenge of coaching this YSEM team, and he's excited to try to turn things around after a rough past couple of years. On second down, they'll go deep, and it is over the head of number 1, Otis Thrasher. Jaden Blue on the coverage, and he is limping a little bit, number 4 for Peddie. Tessa Mahaskins also back there on the coverage. And it's going to bring up 3rd and 10 from the 49. There's Jared Piotnik taking a look at the plays on his left arm as he relays it to the huddle. Looking to pick up the second consecutive first down for the Blue Knights. Here comes pressure, picked up by Konate, but it's still incomplete. Terrell Prince was the cornerback coming in off the edge to try to rush into number 20, Jared Piotnik. But Konate, we mentioned, he's a linebacker and he's a fullback, and he showed right there that he can pick up the run block. However, it was incomplete, and YSEM will be forced to punt. So second punt of the game here for Duncan Brieg, the senior. And this time it's Jaden Blue who's out to receive, but not before there's a timeout on the field. And YSEM will talk things over. 11 minutes to go in the second quarter. It is a 26-0 game. 1 minute into the second quarter, it is a 4th and 10. And Brieg receives a high snap, will punt it straight out of bounds. And he may have punted for the first down, as it looks like they're going to mark it out of bounds at the 45-yard line. So really only they'll mark him down at the 41-yard line. So they'll give him a 9-yard punt by Duncan Brieg. And Peddie will take over at the 41. Already up 26-0. Their offense has not been stopped. And back out comes Alan Walters, the junior quarterback from Chatham, New Jersey. Coming into the game, Walters was 67%. 38 of 57 with 2 touchdowns. He's already thrown for 2 in this game. Play action to Farmer. Steps up in the pocket, and he will be wrestled down. There is a flag on the play. And number 20 got in there. Jared Piotnik credited with the sack. And another injured Blue Knight as Vasily Ortali, the junior, is down on the play. Looks like the call is going to be against Peddie, the presumed hold. So that'll bring the Falcons back within the 30-yard line. As Ortali is back to his feet, and he'll walk to the sideline on his own power. That's a nice round of applause from the faithful here at the Peddie School, as well as his teammates on the far side. Somewhat of a ghost town here on the campus of the Peddie School, as it is mid-semester break for the students here at Peddie. So a lot of students going home. I was talking to a couple of guys who are driving the buses to and from Newark Airport to make sure those students do get home, as this one is complete to Jahan Dotson. Dotson is loose across the 20-yard line, and he will glide in for a touchdown. Boy, does he make that look easy. And Peddie is on top, 32-0. We get another look here. This is what Dotson's the best at. The yak, the yards after the catch. Good throw, put it right on the money, and he almost puts it into casual mode 25 yards out with Piotnik right behind him. That's how fast Dotson can go. And what, did they call it back? They're going to call it back. Okay, so you got to look at the replay, but wipe away that big play by Peddie. No touchdown. There was a flag on the play that I apologize, did not see. So this is going to bring Peddie all the way back. This is the second penalty already on the drive. It'll be 1st and a mile here for the Falcons. So ball spotted at the 20. They need to get to the 48 of YSEP. So 1st and 32 for the Falcons. 4 receivers for Alan Walters. This time it's Jaden Blue. Has got some blockers. And Blue tackled across the 30-yard line. Gained some of those penalty yards back. A gain of 10 on the play. It'll be 2nd and 22. So approaching 9 minutes to go here in the second half. Or its second quarter, excuse me. The Peddie School up 26-0. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. Or its second quarter, excuse me. The Peddie School up 26-0. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. The Peddie School up 26-0. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go here in the second half. 2 minutes to go and have a 2nd and 22. They split them all out. 5 wide for Peddie. In motion, though, comes Farmer back behind Walters. And it is Keyshawn Farmer who takes a big hit up high by Abdoulaye Konate. So 3rd down upcoming and 15 yards to gain for Peddie. And this has not been a situation we've seen the Falcons in. We'll see what kind of play Coach Maleo has drawn up here. It's got to be fun to be a coach when you're Chris Maleo and you've got so many weapons at your disposal. You can call Keyshawn Farmer's name. You can call Alan Walters' name. You can call Jaden Blue's name. You can call Zach Barnard's name. It is Walters stepping up to throw, completing to Blue, who's going to be out of bounds and short of the 1st down at the 45-yard line. So 7 yards to go on 4th down, and we could be seeing the first punt of the afternoon for the Peddie School, but let's see. Alan Walters remains on the field. Chris Maleo, certainly a guy in his DNA that wants to go for these kinds of plays, and it seems like Peddie's going to here in the 2nd quarter with a 26-0 lead. Again, 5 wide. 4th and 7. Walters is incomplete. Looking for Jaden Blue, and on the coverage, Deshaun Jupiter-Deem had him bottled up, and Peddie turns it over on downs. So YSEM with their best field position to start of the afternoon. They'll have 1st and 10 from the 45-yard line. So now Jared Piotnik with Konate in the backfield with him, has 3 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. And he takes a big hit, but still completes the pass to Deshaun Jupiter-Dean. What a throw with the defender barreling down on him, and Deshaun Jupiter-Dean makes a fingertip grab, and YSEM is on the board. We get another look here. You got to have a lot of chutzpah to be able to stand in the pocket like that and take that hit and still release the ball down the field and hit Deshaun Jupiter-Dean in stride for the touchdown. So YSEM, they make Peddie pay after going for it on 4th down. Just 1 play later, they've got a touchdown. Deshaun Jupiter-Dean makes another play for this YSEM squad. So the PAT is good. Wyoming Seminary on the board. They trail 26-7 with 6:41 to go here in the 2nd quarter. Yard pass and catch from Piotnik to Jupiter Dean. And Wysem will kick away after the touchdown. Jaden Blue receives at the 15. Jaden Blue makes a man miss at the 30. Jaden Blue comes to the near side of the field. Stiff arm for Jupiter Dean, and Jaden Blue is still on his feet. He's going to go back to the left side of the field. And finally, a shoestring tackle at the 48-yard line. Zigging and zagging. Man, these Peddie Falcons players, they do not want to go down with the ball. Sometimes they go backwards to go forwards, but they've got the athleticism to do so. And Jaden Blue gives Peddie some good field position to start here with 6:19 to go in the second quarter. Ball spotted at the 48-yard line. So Walters in the gun. He's got Farmer behind him. And they'll run with Keyshawn Farmer, who trips over his own feet behind the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd and 11 upcoming.
Number 2, Keyshawn Farmer runs for a 1-yard loss. It'll be 2nd down and 11 at the Peddie 46-yard line.
Dotson is lined up all the way on the far side of the field. Tyron Tucker is in the slot. And 2 receivers also on the near side for Walters. Clean pocket. And he throws a really nice-looking ball to Zach Barnard in between 3 defenders, but it's off his fingertips and incomplete. And that's going to bring up a 3rd down. So all of a sudden, Peddie not moving with as much ease as they had in the first quarter. Remember, they were up 26-0 in quarter number 1, and they have not scored in the second quarter, only turned the ball over on downs, and Wysem got on the board. So give a lot of credit to this Blue Knights team for making some adjustments. Another 3rd and long. Tyrell Tucker in motion. Same with Farmer. And they set up the screen to Keyshawn Farmer, and Wysem saw it coming. Number 10 in Austin Daya makes the tackle. It is 4th and long, and let's see if Coach Maleo learned his lesson. Doesn't look like it as you see him talking there on the bottom of your screen with his quarterback and Alan Walters. I've always been looking for a coach to never punt the ball. And it seems like Chris Maleo might be my guy. Got to respect the courage on 4th and 11, and you got to respect the confidence he has in his quarterback. Walters to throw, and he completes to Barnard at the 40-yard line. It's a 1st down. That is a college-level throw and catch by Walters to Barnard. We look at his route. Finds the soft spot in the zone. Walters puts it right in the area where only his receiver can catch it, and sprawling to the ground, Zach Barnard makes the catch. So well executed on 4th and 11. Barnard, a junior from Atco, New Jersey, coming into the game only 3 catches. Does have a touchdown. Under 4 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Peddie with a 1st and 10 at the 40. Ball on the ground as, was it a botched snap? Yeah, a false start they'll call it against the Peddie school. Ball may have just gotten caught in the ground as Dan Dawkins tried to snap it. So a 5-yard penalty, which beats the alternative on that play where it would just be a live ball and Wysem recovered. But anyway, 1st and 15 for Peddie. 2 receivers on either side. And in motion is Jaden Blue. It's Farmer. Nope, it's an option, and it's Walters who makes a man miss. And he gains those penalty yards back and a few yards more. So it's going to bring up a 2nd and 8, a 7-yard run for Walters.
7-yard run by number 15, Alan Walters. It'll be
Alan Walters averaging 296 yards per game. Sure, he's going to be in the ballpark of that when this one's all said and done. Again, he was with Paramus Catholic last year, and last year, Paramus Catholic, they had a lot of high expectations, but went 3-6, which was somewhat disappointing for him. They lost their head coach, Chris Partridge, to Michigan, who's coaching alongside Jim Harbaugh now. And Walter said that he's coming to Peddie to give him the best chance to win and to go deep into his career. Walters completes the pass to Dotson.
first down grab by number 5, Jahan Dotson.
Academics also a big key for Walters coming here. The high academic standards is something that drew him to the Peddie School. And he enjoys playing in a college offense that Chris Maleo runs. Remember, I mentioned the two of them have had a relationship for a long, long time. And it's been a dream of Walters to be coached by Coach Maleo. So it is a match made in heaven, if you will. So, 1st and 10, ball spotted at the 27. Tucker in motion. Under 2 minutes to go in the first half. And it's a handoff to Farmer. Farmer breaking tackles, open field, touchdown Peddie. He makes it look easy as well. Peddie on top 32-0.
Sean Farmer with another touchdown. It is Peddie 32, Wyoming Seminary 7.
32-7, excuse me. Oh, I said nothing. So Keyshawn Farmer into the end zone for another touchdown. That's his 2nd of the day. He's now got 6 on the season. And Zach Barnard lines up for an extra point. Try to give Peddie a 33-7 lead. And he does just that. The odd number 33 in football. You don't see teams have 33 points a lot. Back in the day, I was in a pool, a football pool, where you picked a team, everybody had a team, and if that team scored 33 points at some point throughout the season, you won the pool. Well, 33 points wasn't scored very often. Well, they've got 33 here, 33-7, 1:22 to go in the second quarter, and Peddie will kick away after the 20-yard touchdown run by Keyshawn Farmer. Mentioned the relationship between Coach Maleo and Walters. It's going to bring us to our quote of the day. This is what Alan Walters said in an interview. This is courtesy of NJ.com. Said Coach Maleo is like a second father to me. Said we've talked for years about playing together, and finally that came to fruition. Coach Maleo, alongside his duties as the head coach for the Peddie School, also runs a quarterback training program and has worked with Walters since a young age. He said that he thinks Alan Walters is the best quarterback in his class in the state of New Jersey. And a lot of big-time programs at the college level have taken notice as well. Offers from Alabama, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, just to name a few. As Barnard kicks away, and it's Deshaun Jupiter Dean at the 5. Up to the 29-yard line. So YSEM will have 1 minute and 11 seconds to go about 70 yards down the field. First and 10 here for YSEP. Ball at the 30. And a handoff, and going nowhere is YSEP. There's number 10 in there on the tackle. That was Adam Conyer, the outside linebacker. Conyer from Burlington, New Jersey, class of 2018. In other words, a junior. So YSEP looking to be in no particular hurry here. They're not going to try to stretch the field with 30 seconds to go and the clock running. Might see one more play. Let's see if they let Piotnik air it out here. He is in the gun. A couple of backs beside him. Under 10 seconds, and they snap it. It is another run. And number 43, Darian Roberts, with a modest gain as the clock strikes 0 in the first half. So after the second quarter, it is Peddie 33. It is Wyoming Seminary 7. You're watching live high school football here on the Strive Network. 33-7 is the score as we begin the third quarter of play here in Hightstown, New Jersey. Simon Rose back with you. Our crew, Derek Simmons and Molly Rich, along for the ride here at the Peddie School, where the Falcons lead the Blue Knights by 26 points. And it will be Peddie to kick off to Wyoming Seminary to start this third quarter. It was a highlight-packed first quarter in this one as Peddie rolled out to a 26-0 lead before Wysem got on the board. And the Falcons added one late. This is Deshaun Jupiter Dean with another kick return past the 30-yard line, and the Wyoming Seminary Blue Knights will come out on offense. It was a very rough start for Wysem in the first half, but they did get their feet under them. The highlight being the 50-yard touchdown pass from Jared Piotnik to Deshaun Jupiter-Dean. One of the highlights of the game. Really good-looking play that was for YSM. But here they will start on their own 30-yard line, 1st and 10. As the experienced post-grad starts in the gun. And this one nearly intercepted by the big defensive lineman for the Peddie School. That was Thomas Wardle, who almost put that one into his own grasp for an interception. Nonetheless, it is a blocked ball. Remember those big defensive linemen that the Peddie School has. They are going to be a tough matchup for any team in the trenches throughout. And you can tell throughout this game how quickly Jared Piotnik wants to get rid of that football. You know, probably was part of the game plan for this YSM team, knowing the pressure that's coming on the other side. Peddie bringing multiple guys as Piotnik airs this one out, and it's incomplete. Looking for Otis Thrasher and Jaden Blue on the coverage for Peddie. One thing about the Peddie School is they don't have a very deep roster, so you see a lot of players who play offense are also on the defensive side of the ball. Specifically, the two big-time wide receivers, Jahan Dotson and Jaden Blue, they line up as cornerbacks for the Falcons defensively. 3rd and 10, just 21 seconds into the third quarter. Obvious passing down here for YSM. And hit hard from behind. That ball is out. It's going to be incomplete. And that was Javar Garrett who just guillotined Jared Piotnik. He did not see him coming on the blind side. 4th down upcoming. Garrett saw red. And he unleashed a huge hit on the quarterback. So, 3 and out to start for YSM in the second half. Jahan Dotson back to receive. He's not going to get a chance to do so. Out of bounds at the 46. And again, Peddie will start with very good field position here on their first drive of the second half. First half, we saw a dose of pretty much everyone that you'd expect to see for the Peddie Falcons. Keyshawn Farmer had 2 touchdowns. Jaden Blue had 2 touchdowns. One, a 28-yard or a 10-yard catch from Allen Roberts, but Blue also scored on a 28-yard pick 6. Offensively, Dotson had a 10-yard catch as well. The big one was a 70-yard pass and catch from Walters to Dotson that was wiped away by a flag. Anyway, just 36 seconds in, Peddie's already got the ball, and it is Roberts in an empty backfield. Roberts avoids the man. Piotnik couldn't get him. He pump fakes past the line of scrimmage, and Walters is still fighting for extra yardage inside the 25, showing off the legs, number 15. The classic, I'm going to pump fake you 6 yards past the line of scrimmage. That always used to work in my flag football games. And Roberts makes it work there as it is 1st and 10 at the 24-yard line. Piotnik almost had him in the backfield, and it was very nearly a sack, but Walter showing that pocket presence And showing that he can beat you if you don't get him down quickly. 5 receivers this time for the junior quarterback. Lots of time to throw. Rolling right, throwing on the run, looking end zone, and it is incomplete. Out of bounds was Jaden Blue. 2nd and 10. Walters looking to the left side. He's got a man open. It is Dotson. And Dotson is tackled right at the sticks. A fairly quiet game for Jahan Dotson, considering what we know he can do. He has gotten into the end zone, but he's the kind of guy that can take over a game single-handedly. They are going to mark him short of the first down, so 3rd and 1 for Peddie. Barnard in the slot this time for Peddie, the tight ends, with Dotson to his left, far side of the screen. It is Barnard in motion here, and the give is to Keyshawn Farmer. Keyshawn Farmer puts his head down, and he is turning those legs inside the 5, and he is short of the goal line.
Keyshawn Farmer, number 2, with a big first down run. First down and goal at the
Well, we've seen the agility and quickness and speed of Keyshawn Farmer, but we saw there some of the strength as he was hit at about the 6-yard line, and he moved that pile very nearly into the end zone. And Peddie knocking on the door here. 33-7, they have the lead and chance for more. With Walters in the gun with Farmer to his left. They're going to throw, looking for Jaden Blue, and he bobbles and makes the catch. Jupiter Dean nearly picked it off, but Jaden Blue stayed with it, and it's a touchdown for Peddie. We get another look here. You don't see a lot of high school quarterbacks have the confidence to throw a fade into the end zone like that. And Deshaun Jupiter Dean had pretty good coverage, but Jaden Blue is in the zone today. 3rd touchdown for Jaden Blue, 2nd receiving. Here's Barnard on the extra point. It is up. It is no good, wide right. 39-7 is the score. Peddie with the lead. Jaden Blue with the touchdown reception, a 1-yard pass from Alan Walters, who now has 3 touchdowns on the game, 5 on the season. "32 points is the lead for the Peddie School. Received by Deshaun Jupiter Dean. And he brings this one past the 25. A short drive for Wyoming Seminary and their first opportunity in the third quarter as they went 3 and out. Four receivers for Jared Piotnik. More pressure coming, and this one in and out of the hands of Jupiter Dean. Coach Maleo is bringing the pressure all game long in the face of Jared Piotnik, and to his credit, I don't recall too many sacks. There certainly have been a few, but he has gotten the ball out very quickly in this one. Albeit it's forced Wyoming Seminary to stay kind of close to the line of scrimmage. Haven't been able to stretch the field as much as they probably would want. You got to give the quarterback time to do so. Again, the linebackers come on a blitz, and the pass is incomplete. This time looking for Thrasher. The coverage was good as well, and it was Tyron Tucker on the coverage. He's a junior from Pennsauken, New Jersey. And just like that, it is 3rd and 10. It has been locked down defensively for Peddie with the exception of the one play. Remember, Peddie turned it over on downs, and the very next play was the lone touchdown of the game for Ysem, the 50-yard pass and catch. Piotnik releases this one over the hands of his intended target in number 10, Austin Daya. And Ysem will be forced to punt. 4th and 10 on their own 28. Duncan Brieg back to boot it away, 6'2", 200-pound senior. And it's Dotson back there. Dotson and Blue have been splitting the punt return duties. As this one bounces at the 45, and Dotson will let it bounce. And he fakes out the other player, Wyoming Seminary's Otis Thrasher. You never know when Dotson is going to pick it up and run, and he's a danger to take the distance every time he does, so certainly no shame in flinching there for Thrasher. 1st and 10. Peddie starts at their own 35-yard line. Clock rolls to 7 minutes just about to go here in the third quarter. Farmer splits out as a receiver. Walters looks that way, but he goes the other way to Dotson. Nice play made right at the line of scrimmage by Dante Shangi. A defensive back comes up and stops Jahan Dotson right at the line of scrimmage. So it'll bring up a 2nd and 10 from the 35. Walters comes back into the huddle. Walters looks quickly. Another screen as Blue makes the catch. He got a block from Barnard. And he gains 8, maybe 9. Up to the 43-yard line. Jupiter Dean makes the stop for YSEM. Walters directing traffic. Takes the 2 receivers on the right side and switches them with the receiver on the left side. So coming over here is Javar Garrett on the near side. Walters, he's got time. He's going to tuck it and run. He's got the first down. Now running east to west at the 50-yard line. And he's out of bounds at the 53, the 47. So Walters has shown off his legs in this one. Remember that big-time run he made the last series, turning a potential sack into a 30-yard run. This one, not as much, but certainly a first down for the Peddie Falcons as they have the ball at the 48. It's the last out-of-conference matchup for Peddie of the season, as they will head back into Maple League play starting next week. And you'll see them against Hill right here on the Strive Network. As we do have a penalty, it is going to be a timeout. No flag, just a timeout for the Peddie school. So since they just called that timeout, we'll have a chance to look at the upcoming Peddie schedule. See how many games we're covering on the Strive Network of Peddie School football, and we're very excited to do so. This is already our second this season, this one against YSEM, but you see next week they'll play the Hill School here at home. That'll be right here on the Strive Network Live. Lawrenceville is the only game remaining on the schedule that we won't be covering, but that's going to be a tough game in Lawrenceville. And then playing a much improved Mercersburg team this year on the 22nd of October. And finishing the year with the 2 biggies, the Hunt School and Blair Academy. That Peddie Hunt game is one that everybody has marked on their calendar at this point. Very well decide the Maple League Championship, though of course no teams have played in the Maple yet, so everyone's 0-0. Blair Academy and the Hunt School have won the Maple the majority of the time in the last decade or so. So Peddie looking for their first Maple championship since 2001, 2002. And they're hoping Chris Maleo is the guy to lead them to the promised land. 1st and 10 out of the timeout. And it's a direct snap to Jahan Dotson. Dotson falling forward across the 40. Man, it looked like a modest gain of 2 or 3, and Dotson somehow gains an extra 5 yards on that play. And he brings up a 2nd and short for Peddie. .2-point lead here for the Peddie School. Again, it is Dotson behind center. Really experimenting here in the playbook as he pitches to Farmer across the 20 and a touchdown. But this one's coming back. A flag at the 40. Looks like it's going to be against the Peddie School. All the way back at the line of scrimmage, but that doesn't negate the fact that, man, does Keyshawn Farmer look good running the football. Coach Maleo looking for an explanation from one of his players, not the referees. Looks like he resigned himself to knowing that that was a penalty. Oh, they're calling it a false start. So it was a procedural penalty against the Peddie School. Nothing on the actual play itself, but the fact that they played it on, it was probably an illegal formation against Peddie. And that's indeed what the call was. So another big touchdown play wiped away by a penalty. They're really experimenting here with Dotson behind center. And Dotson throws deep, looking for Blue. It is incomplete. Deshaun Jupiter-Dean on the coverage. Another ball that was bobbled. And that's how Blue caught his last touchdown pass after knocking it up in the air and being able to come down with it. And that time it fell incomplete. As you see there on the bottom of your screen, Chris Maleo talking with Jahan Dotson. Unsure if this is a injury-related benching of Walters. It doesn't look like he's being tended to by the training staff, or maybe he is here on the near side. We'll try to get a look at that. But it is Dotson who hands off to Keyshawn Farmer. Farmer receives a block from Blue, and he's wrestled down by Konate at the 33. Little jawing after the fact between Farmer and Konate. It's a 1st and 10 for the Peddie School. Under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. It does look like Walters is being looked at by the training staff here at Peddie. The near side bench. There you see him. Doesn't look like anything serious, but we go back to the action, but, well, no we don't, because there's a whistle and a delay of game against Peddie.
5-yard penalty on Peddie, delay of game.
Still trying to get a look right there at what they're, it looks like just maybe some equipment issue in terms of his jersey up. Or maybe it's a shoulder or something, I'm not sure. Here is Farmer again, who is going to turn on the Jets. Keyshawn Farmer's got another touchdown for Peddie. Rushing touchdown number 3 for Keyshawn Farmer as we get one more look. The dude cuts on a dime, and when he's got open field, there's nobody good on Farmer. Another score to make it 45-7. Zach Barnard on for the extra point. It's up, it's good. 46-7, less than a minute to go here in the third quarter. Touchdown from Keyshawn Farmer is the latest score for Peddie. We'll have a running clock from here on out with a 35-point lead at least for the Peddie School in the second half. As this one is returned well by Wyoming Seminary, and a big hit at the end of that one as Tessima Haskins threw Austin Daya down to the ground. Daya's going to get up slow and head to the sideline, and Wyoming Seminary will start their drive from past the 40-yard line, the 42. Bit of an update on Alan Walters. They did put a sling on Walters, so obviously some sort of arm injury, and we saw them messing around with the upper part of his body, so I don't want to conject, but the fact that they put a sling on him would lead you to believe it's some sort of shoulder injury, as we do have the end of the third quarter upon us. 46-7 the score. We go to the final frame. Peddie up big at home. Beginning of the fourth quarter here at the Peddie School. As Piotnik throws, and it is incomplete on the far side of the field. Intended for Austin Daya. Second and 10 for Wyoming Seminary. Piotnik looking to the far side again, and it is incomplete. Had to throw over those three big bodies who were coming in on him. Again, good penetration up front for Peddie. It's going to bring up a third and long. So YSEM, after this game, will play Pennington on October 8th. After playing at Blair and at Peddie, they get to host Pennington, and then they host Kiski. As this one is popped up into the air, incomplete. Flag does come in at the end. Tyron Tucker on the coverage. And it looks like they're going to get him on the pass interference. First down for YSEM after the penalty. So that'll move the chains into Peddie School territory to the 44-yard line. Approaching 9 minutes to go here in the fourth. Piotnik steps up, fires across the middle. Deshaun Jupiter-Dean is on the other side of that catch. And another first down for YSEM as they move to about the 30-yard line. And look for their first scorer since the second quarter. Jupiter-Dean has been the favorite target of Piotnik in this game and throughout the season. He is the lone touchdown scorer for Wyoming Seminary. Piotnik looking to the left side, and he was not on the same page with his intended target in Otis Thrash. So that'll make it 2nd and 10. Two receivers on the left. Duncan Brieg is on the near side, and he makes a nice catch. Duncan Brieg takes a big hit from a couple of Falcons inside the 15, and he's going to be slow to get up after he took a huge hit. Adam Conyer in there on the stop. See if we can pod that one up again and take a look at that hit. It looked like there were 2 moments of impact there for Duncan Brieg. Ball was high. He made a nice catch. And it was that first hit, and then there was another hit towards the end that kind of contorted his body in an awkward way, and he's still down and out, lying at about the 12-yard line. So we'll take a step aside. Hopefully Bree can get up when we return. Good to see Duncan Bree get up off of the ground under his own power and get off to the sideline where he'll get looked at by the staff, as this one is incomplete, intended for number 3, Emmanuel Beals. And it'll bring up a 2nd and 10. With 6 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. You got to look at number 4, Duncan Brieg, over there on the sideline. He looks okay. Four receivers for Piotnik, and this one is sailed over the head of Deshaun Jupiter-Dean. It'll bring up a 3rd and 10 with 5:30 to go. Glad you could join us for this presentation of high school football on the Strive Network. Simon Rose and Molly Rich, your crew here from Hightstown. As Wyoming Seminary looks to get on the board for the 2nd time in this game. Piotnik did throw a touchdown pass to Jupiter-Dean back in the 2nd quarter. And this one is over the head of Otis Thrasher. So it'll bring up a 4th down and 10. Another slow man to get up. This one for the Peddie Falcons, and it's one of their linemen. And Noel Hijazi, who will walk off the field. Lineman from Ashburn, Virginia, will get a breather and go discuss with the trainer what's bothering him. But 4th and 10 here on the field for YSEM. They can receive a 1st down without receiving a touchdown. Ball's at the 14-yard line. And Piotnik fading it in the back of the end zone, tipped up and around and incomplete. Tucker wanted the interception, but he's not going to get it. And Wyoming Seminary will not get a touchdown as Otis Thrasher could not reel it in. There's another look at Hijazi being tended to on the sideline there. As Peddie will take over on downs. Running clock inside 3 minutes and 20 seconds now. As the Falcons will put the finishing touches on this win that will improve them to 2-1. A nice bounce back from last week where they lost to St. Peter's Prep. And a good game to give you some momentum heading into the Maple League season, which will start against Hill next week on this very field. Again, it's Dotson who's in there at quarterback, with Walters on the sideline with his jersey off and a sling around his left shoulder. Dotson on the keeper. By the way, worth mentioning, Walters has that sling on, but it is his left shoulder, a.k.a. his non-throwing shoulder. So, any silver lining, maybe a silver lining there. And no reason, there he is, no reason to risk putting him back into the game after he got dinged up in the 3rd quarter, but certainly right in on the action as he discusses something with his head coach, Chris Maleo. Under 2 minutes to go in the game. Peddie with a 1st and 10. 2nd and 10, excuse me. And this is a really nice run by a newcomer into the game for Peddie. Number 42, Tyler Tedeschi.
That is a 1st down run for number 42, Tyler Tedeschi. Number 24,
Dante Shangy made the tackle for YSEM. Just a couple of plays left in this one, as it will now be a new quarterback in there. It's David Harris behind center for Peddie. And Tedeschi to his left. And the flag will come in. And an illegal formation or a false start against the Peddie School. The referee calling that one against the right tackle, and Evan Lovell. He shares a laugh with the player. So David Harris will wait till the play clock strikes the appropriate time to snap this one off. Now under 30 seconds, so quite possibly the last play of the game. They give it to Harris, who hands off to Tedeschi, and he's taken down at the 29-yard line. So 46-7 is going to be the final score of this game. The Peddie School will improve to 2-1 on the season, and Wyoming Seminary drops to 0-5. We thank you for joining us for this exciting football game on the Strive Network. We will see you next week from right here at the Peddie School, where the Falcons will host the Hill School in the first Maple League contest of the year. So for Derek Simmons and Molly Rich, I'm Simon Rose. We thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.